Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome you here to the weekly podcast for the town of Portland. And this is going to be our episode 4. And live in the studio with us is our first selectwoman, Ms. Susan Bransfield, our Public Works Director and / Fire Chief, Mr. Robert Shea. On the line for the first time, we have Ms. Lori Matthew, who is the Water Supply Section Branch Chief from the Department of Public Health, and would like to welcome you, Lori. And soon to be joining us, we have Mr. Russ Melmond, who is the Chatham Health Director. So thank you all for being here. We're live here at the podcast studio at Portland High School for the Town Tech Educational Partnership. So welcome, Susan. What do you got?
Good to be here. How you doing, Dave?
Doing good.
That's good. Well, I'm here to just give a brief overview of the next segment of activities for the Board of Selectmen, Dave. And basically, we're going to be working on the 2020-2021 budget. And we're going to have a series of meetings coming up, and I hope that the listeners are able to tune in. We will be having all of our meetings accessible through Zoom, and we've taken a lot of precautions in the use of this technology. Kevin Armstrong and you, Dave Kosminski, are helping us quite a bit to ensure that this is a safe venue for us to be working with the public on. On Monday, April 27th, there'll be a budget workshop. You can learn a little bit more about what we'll be planning for the Board of Education as well as Public Works, our Grounds Department, our Parks and Recreation, and our Long-Range Capital Planning. On Wednesday, May 6th, we're going to have a public hearing for people to make comment on their thoughts about the upcoming budget. And then on the 19th and 20th of May, the selectmen will deliberate and discuss and determine the best path forward. On the 27th, they'll formally adopt a budget, and I can assure our listeners, our residents, taxpayers, that the selectmen are giving a lot of careful thought to the situation that not only Portland is facing, but the state and our nation as a whole. A lot of considerations will go into how the budget will be formulated for starting July 1, and we'll be very cautious as well as very positive in what needs to be accomplished and done over the next year. So that's what I had for this point. Dave, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Long time no see since last night's selectmen's meeting.
That's right.
And so forth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time live on the air, from the great city of Hartford, Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen, would like to welcome Miss Lori Matthew, who is the branch chief for the water supply section for the Department of Public Health. Welcome, Lori. How are you?
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Susan, for allowing me to participate in your podcast. I really very much appreciate it. On behalf of the Department of Public Health and Commissioner Renee Coleman-Mitchell and my supervisor, Deputy Commissioner Heather Aaron at the department, I appreciate very much you asking me to participate today. So thank you.
Well, it's great to have you, Lori. Thank you so much for taking time out. You're very, very busy.
So,
yeah.
Yes, and obviously, Lori, you and I have been working together tremendously over the past 2 years on our sustainability committee for the Connecticut section, AWWA, and that has gone very well. But I thought, on today's podcast, if you can give us an overview on the, some of the precautions that the Department of Public Health are taking with the smaller water systems and, all of that, and keep everybody up to speed.
Dave and Susan, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to say a few words. So in my role, I am a branch chief that oversees environmental health as well as drinking water, and in particular, drinking water regulation. We, as a department, regulate over 2,500 public water systems. Many of those 2,500 are small businesses. Approximately about 2,000 are small businesses. They are considered non-community systems. Many of those are closed at this moment in time, and they're considered a non-essential business. And so they are buildings that are closed. Those water systems may not be operational. Now, the next grouping of water systems, as Dave had mentioned, are community-based water systems, and there's about 500 of those in the state of Connecticut. About 80 of those systems serve over 1,000 people. So, and our largest water system is somebody like the MDC, 425,000 people in Greater Hartford, Aquarian, about 600,000 people in the southwest part of our state, Connecticut Water, about 400,000, and Regional Water, about 420,000. So between all of those water systems and the community-based water systems, the water is safe to drink. The Department of Public Health, our work and regulatory oversight of the Safe Drinking Water Act continues on. I've received many questions about how are you able to do your work while all of your staff are teleworking, and that is true. We have 50 people within the drinking water section, our engineers, our environmental analysts, our health program people are all teleworking. We have been capable of teleworking for just about 6 weeks, where we all were able to tap into our data systems remotely. We're able to look at and review water quality remotely. Ever since Storm Sandy, as a matter of fact, we have purchased and invested in equipment to be able to work remotely. So everything sort of fell into place right in February for us, and we were able to use what is known as a VPN. It's virtual technology to be able to tap into our data system. And we're able to do and conduct the work of overseeing water quality and quantity, just as we have been if we were in the office here in Hartford. I'm in the office. I am considered a level 1 employee. I'm required to come in and keep the office up and running. But I'm here, but the rest of the 49 people are not. Also, we have suspended, for my staff, we suspended any and all field work until the end of April, and we are working really hard right now on a protocol about how we continue in this new normal. The life as we know it now has changed. So we are working on protocols to keep our staff safe while we conduct sanitary survey reviews during this summer. And coming up, we believe that sometime in May we will start that process. But for right now, we are not conducting field work unless there is a mission-critical issue out in the field, and so far there hasn't been a need to do that. I have to receive commissioner's approval in order to get my staff out in the field. And as you can imagine, we want to be very careful with our staff. On the water utilities side, water utilities are up and running and doing great work. We are holding with the water industry a weekly webinar, which I've just stepped out of, and it lasts for about an hour and a half, and we have water utilities participate and share the information of what is new and what are they doing, what sort of protocols have they put in place to keep their water operators safe in the field. And there's many still construction projects ongoing that might need call before you dig, and the water industry has to get out in the field to assist. So we've just heard from the large utilities, on a weekly basis about the extraordinary measures that they are taking to continue to protect their employees that are out in the field. And also the critical water operators that operate the state's water treatment plants. These people are highly skilled. We need them to continue to operate our treatment plants, and the water industry has taken extraordinary steps, as others have across the country in other states that we're aware of, have taken extraordinary steps to protect the health of the operators and the treatment operators that are in the state of Connecticut. And in Connecticut in particular, there are 36 surface water treatment plants, and those 36 are operated by, not that many specialized treatment operators. So, it's a small subset of a population that are that skilled, and we want to make sure that their health is well protected, because for over 2.9 million people in the state of Connecticut that are served by the larger utilities, continuing to have that water flow and be safe and adequate is really a very important job at this point in time.
Sure. Are there protocols that basically you guys at DPH have kind of handed down to the water utilities as far as safety measures for the this COVID-19 crisis, I should say. Yes.
I think that we've been working together. We've pulled together a smaller team of the larger utilities, and the utilities have been really taking the lead, and we've been sharing information through circular letters with the water industry from our partners at CDC and EPA on PPE safety, the personal protective equipment safety. Some of the utilities are taking that even further with providing masks and certain levels of masks, as well as providing some, very specific equipment for their staff. And one of the things that we're working on with Connecticut section and Romana Longo, who is the director of the Connecticut section AWWA, is working to stand up, actually, as a matter of fact, they have a web page stood up. Connecticut section has a page that's going to be a resource page for any and all information that any utility has provided, a written document, a new protocol stood up for COVID-19 and for PPE protection in particular. That resource page will be a great area for anyone in the water utility business who would like to know more about what they could do to assist their employees that are out in the field. Many of those 500 community systems that I spoke of, that the top 80 have additional staff and have the wherewithal to develop their own measures and protocols. But the smaller systems, the smaller community systems that have operators, may struggle during these times, and we want to stand up this, working with Connecticut section, this resource page to help everybody, have the information that they need, and as a resource, and as well as the most updated information, as it seems to be every minute there's new information that is coming out of CDC on how to protect yourself. Right. And we want to stay on top of that, working with our epidemiologists, our state epidemiologist, Matt Carter, working out of the Department of Public Health. They are obviously right in the front lines and working with the governor's office on many healthcare missions, and assuring that, that we're on top of all of these items. The guidance that comes down from them, we work with our epidemiologists as well as information from CDC and provide the best guidance that we can. But the water industry has really stepped up and has taken extraordinary steps to continue to protect their employees, and I believe that's incredibly important at this time, and is not only just during this time. During the summer, there is this new normal that we have to pay close attention to, and that we cannot stand down on all of these measures that are being taken. Some people might think that they are extraordinary. Well, we're in an extraordinary time, and it's time to develop how are we going to move through the summer. And we just spoke on our webinar about that, and we're going to work together on development of a protocol about how we keep all of our employees as safe as possible that have to go out in the field to conduct any field work moving forward.
Sure, absolutely. From the small water systems, the NTNCs and so forth, is there anything from the consumer standpoint that that are customers of the small NTNCs that they need to know? Or
well, that's a really good question, because as we might be stepping into coming back a bit and possibly very slowly over the next month or so, depending again how our medical doctors will advise carefully, and I know that they're working on how to step back in to this new normal carefully. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've worked on is a return to service, and how a building could get turned back on, and carefully, and a water system could get stood up carefully. We want to make sure that that anyone who has a building that is now shut down, that had been a public water system, a regulated non-transient system, say, like a plaza with a well. That's a regulated non-community system that we've stood up, and I'm just approving today for our webpage new information about a return to service document and guidance that's based upon federal guidance from CDC and other groups about returning a building to have potable water. The assumption cannot be made that water is just standing still for weeks on weeks, that you can just turn the water back on and everything's going to be fine. We all know in the water industry that's not the case, and that chlorine residuals should be brought back up. There should be testing that takes place, and we're working on that protocol right now. So, we're hopeful that as time moves on and, the good guidance of the governor and his executive orders and the leadership of our agency starts to carefully craft a plan about how we move forward, we're going to be following all of that. And I believe over the next month or so, we're working hard on how we provide the best guidance to all of who we regulate across my entire branch to make sure that we're safe as possible. Following the guidance from CDC and following the guidance from our epidemiologists and our scientists.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a point well taken. And again, you guys have been doing a yeoman's job on keeping things down. As also your role in the Water Planning Council. I think most of the Water Planning Councils have been meetings have been we're on hiatus. Is that correct?
Well, we did postpone the April Water Planning Council, which is made up of PURA, the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, and Jack Bukowski is the chair of the Water Planning Council. It's also made up of, obviously, the Health Department, PURA, DEEP, as well as the Office of Policy and Management. And so we are considering how to move forward in May. We believe we probably, like many towns are doing, the great work of standing up public meetings using new technology. So we're looking into how to do that. And we hope to be able to stand up our next meeting. I'm not sure if May is going to be reachable or not. I sort of hope so. I want to continue on our good work because I know that Mary Ann Dickinson with the Water Alliance is working hard on water conservation initiatives. And, I wanted to say a few words, if I might, on water conservation. Now that we are getting into the season where the leaves will start coming out and the grass is going to start to get green, people want to maybe plant gardens and water their grass. I think it's everyone to be mindful that now that we're not working in office buildings, that we're working from home and work teleworking, that these smaller community systems may have, again, a smaller community system could be 2 bedrock wells, fairly low yielding, that serves 30 or 40 homes or so. And we have quite a few of those spread out in the more suburban and rural parts of our state. And so all of you at home on a system such as that should be mindful to, not overdo it with the lawn watering, house washing, deck washing, power washing of this and that and the other thing. The water supplies in those smaller systems is not unlimited. And should be used wisely. And as we step into this spring season, into the summer, that people should be mindful of conservation and the best that they can of not overusing the water and thinking water is unlimited.
Great advice. Well, great. Lori, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate your insightfulness and all of the good work you and your staff do at DPH up there. I know you've been an invaluable resource for us here in Portland, and we certainly do appreciate that all you do. So thanks so much. And we'll be airing this podcast through our public access channel. We're going to be doing post-production. That will be aired on the Middletown Comcast channel, as well as you're going to be on YouTube. So thank you again. And I know you got another meeting to get to.
I do. Dave and Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori. And say hello to the Commissioner of Public Health. Really.
I will
do. Fabulous job.
She is working hard. The team of scientists here, I can't say enough about Matt Carter and his team of epidemiologists. The expertise that they have is tremendous. They have tremendous expertise and history of dealing with not something like this, but things that are sort of similar. If we remember H1N1 and Ebola and all these other things that has happened in the past, we have a really incredible team of scientists and epidemiologists here that have been tremendous. And the commissioner's office, working with the governor's office, and the leadership that is shown is tremendous. We're not on the front lines of this. Another team I want to mention is Barbara Cass and her team of nurses that are every single day walking into nursing homes and helping nursing homes and dealing with concerns and challenges every single moment, 24/7. So Barbara Cass and her team of nurses in helping nursing homes and hospitals, it's a tremendous amount of work. And then Ellen Blashinsky, who is dealing with our emergency preparedness work on behalf of the department. So, I can't say enough about the leadership of our commissioner, Renee Coleman-Mitchell, and Deputy Commissioner Heather Aaron. So the work that we're doing with nursing homes, hospitals, and caring for people and human beings is I sit back and I'm in awe. The work that we do in water and the work that we do with environmental health is really extremely important, but the work that they're doing is mission critical. So I thank you for your time, and Susan, good luck with everything in the town. And Dave, I really very much appreciate you asking me to participate today, and look forward to working with you as we move forward.
That's great, Susan and Lori. And also, I would like to extend, if any of the commissioners would like to come on, they're more than welcome to. Just let me know, and we're going to be doing this pretty much every week now, every Thursday. And we've been getting a tremendous amount of listens, and this is information that, with people staying home, people are hungry for information. So this is great stuff.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
All right. Stay well, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
You
Great.
too.
Great. I heard a beep. Did Russ? Did you come on the line? No, I guess not. But anyway, okay, with us, that was Miss Lori Matthew, who is the branch chief at the Department of Public Health. And again, would like to thank you, Lori. And is this Russ on there? Okay, that was another beep. Okay. We'd like to turn it over to Mr. Bob Shea, who is actually the Department of Public Works DPW director, and wears his other hat as the fire chief of the Portland Fire Department, and is involved in public safety and EMS and all that good stuff. So thanks for coming up, Bob.
Thank you, Dave. Here again, just to give a little bit more of an update, maybe some of the things that we're doing in town that people are seeing. But first and foremost, the epidemic, we continue to be ready. Your first responders have been responding. Unfortunately, we've ramped up a little bit, but we're hoping that that's going to settle down. We're taking every possible precaution that we can take to protect our first responders, who not only have to make it to those medical calls, but have so many other things that we respond to related to rescue and fires and just other needs for calls that we have to maintain. So it's critical that we're able to do that while staying healthy as well and participating together as much as we can. So our status, basically our firehouses are closed. We're limited training to, what we can do basically via some video work and some webinars that are available for members. But, we train every single week, so we're not worried about that. New training has been stopped throughout the state. The schools are closed, so we're certainly not sending any members for any additional training. But we are ready. We are healthy, which is a very good thing, and I'm proud of the membership and how they're protecting themselves as well as protecting others as we get called for a need for medical attention and or our motor vehicle accidents and fires. And we've had quite a few brush fires over the past few weeks. So, with that said, we want everybody to be careful, drive a little more alert when you're out there. And certainly now that you're home, and you might find that it's it's a good idea to sit with friends around a campfire. There are a bunch of restrictions based on that, so make sure you follow those. If there's any information on what you can and can't do, certainly call the fire marshal's office. Their number's available online, and they will assist you. But if you're doing that in a certified, regulated way that's been basically approved, then you still have to be extremely careful because things happen, and then that causes our department to respond and work closely together, which we're trying not to do, and just creates more hazard. So we want everybody to think about that and make sure that they're remaining safe. We certainly don't want to add more fuel to the fire that we're already trying to work through. So on the other end for Public Works, we are doing everything we can as well to keep our staff safe and healthy. The membership is in all divisions, water, sewer, highway, buildings, grounds. They're trying to stay as busy as they can. They're getting an awful lot done. You see them out there. We're working independently, which is different and difficult for some of the work that we do. So some of the work that requires a large team approach, we're just waiting to get that done. But we are sweeping, and the storm that was thrown into our lap on Monday was a little difficult, and we had a lot of work that we usually do teamed up. We had to do alone. Members were out in their trucks clearing roads alone. We were able to be efficient in doing that. Luckily, everybody stayed safe, and they were we were concerned about that, but they were very aware of the special cautions that they needed to take. So we're still out there cleaning up, but most of the roads are open now that we've been allowed to go back to and open after Eversource did their job, restoring power and clearing those wires from those trees that did come down. So I think we're in good shape there. We'll continue our sweeping and other work that's been planned. I will say that the information that DPH and Lori's group has been giving out weekly is something that we're using. We're kind of modeling some of that information that's been given to us and making sure that we're kind of following those procedures of what we're doing. We're a very small department, so we have pretty good control over that. And those employees in the water division are following all those precautions as well as every other member of other departments as well. They're working very closely together to make sure that they're taking care of their buildings, their vehicles. They're wearing masks when needed, and just following our protocol, which is going to help all of us. I will say that I remind every chance that I get, we're still experiencing problems in the sewer division, and the supervisor asks me every day to please, as much as you can, tell our residents that they cannot flush anything other than toilet paper. We're continuing to disassemble pumps that are clogged from rags and other material that's being used. We understand the issue and the shortage, but I think that's getting better. But we really can't do that. What eventually will happen is if we don't get to a pump in time, it'll back up. And it will back up very quickly, and it'll start affecting homes. And the last thing you want to do is have a sewer backup, especially during this epidemic. You're also putting our employees at high risk because when they're dealing with this unfortunate situation, and it's not pleasant to do, they're exposing themselves to the possibility of exposure to the epidemic as well through the wastewater. So we want to think of them before we flush something that we know we shouldn't. And we want to think of our neighbors and the rest of the residents that could be impacted by that. So please, try not to do those things and follow that protocol. That would be very helpful. The other information is on our bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was, I just before I got here, got off our weekly, or monthly, I should say, which could become weekly, progress report meeting, and which was done on Zoom. And just the bridge is moving along. They've had good luck. Unfortunately, the weather set them back a little bit for that day, but they were right back at it on Tuesday, cleaning up and replacing some signage that they might have lost. But the barriers are in place. People have asked about the glare screening. Those are some of the things that go on the barrier to try to keep distracted drivers focused in their lane, and they're looking at that. Some of the glare screening will be put on some of the barriers where it is needed. The removal of the railings, for those who are paying attention, and the sidewalk is taking place. So you literally can look up through and there's no sidewalk and the railings are removed, so the bridge looks a lot more narrow. That is working very well, and they're making good progress there. Saw cutting and in the areas of the aprons so they can get ready to do some steel removal is ongoing, and they're going to begin work right in the area of Spring Street in Middletown. So you're going to see when you're coming around the corner either way, in either direction, that there's going to be more work that's going to start into that intersection. So you certainly have to be careful and a little more aware of what's happening there than maybe what was happening last week. Electrical work for new lighting and miscellaneous things that have to be done is being done. Conduits being put on the ground. So they're moving along. The arrows on the bridge were changed, but unfortunately after the storm, they need to be changed again. There's some issues there with maybe every other one being out and stuff, but they're on that. DOT is going to get back to that and make those corrections. So they were able to make some switches there so the arrows actually match what we're doing, which is not an easy task. Unfortunately, it's not an electronic controlled system where you could just change it. You actually have to get up and physically move things. So they'll be working on that. But over the next 2 weeks, they expect that this type of work is going to continue, as well as trying to ramp up some of the work downtown in Middletown to try to get ahead of the construction before the city, and as well as all of us, tries to get back into a more normal flow. And they're trying to move that up to try to help those businesses and help that downtown area and not extend the hardship that they have already. Just a few things for the town that are important. You know, we've been struggling with some issues on Maple Road for many years, and we're going to try to make some really good improvements with drainage in the lower area just before you get to Job's Pond Road, which everybody is fully aware of, that occasionally floods and has runoff there, and it just got poor drainage. Well, we're lucky enough to put a plan together to make some important safety as well as drainage improvements there. And because of the fact that the school is out and contractors aren't really doing all their projects, we have an opportunity to start this project early, which is another benefit, that we can get some of these safety improvements done maybe before traffic increases and people are going back to work, and certainly no issues with the school buses, which was a big issue, and I was really pushing this out not to happen until school was over. So within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to see activity on Maple Road. That road in that area is going to be closed during the day, but then reopened at night for easy travel through there. So, you know, for about 2 to 3 weeks, those residents are going to be, you know, hampered with just having to take a detour around the block to get around that area. But overall, I think the safety improvements are going to make a big difference for them, and they'll be happy to see those, and we hope that works well. You know, as far as coming up, I think that's the most important thing that people should be aware of, and notices will go out. And it's unfortunate that the River East is not publishing, so all those notices that I hope to get out to everyone that has a chance to see those and reads that paper, they're not there. So we'll use our website. We're going to do some mailings for the area to let everybody know on Maple Road. We'll get those out next week, an idea, but this might help as well. And just, you know, bear with us. We have other projects this summer that we hope to complete. Our normal chip sealing. We're going to do some grinding and repaving of a portion of High Street that has those rumbles between Bartlett and Carlson Drive there. So we want to do that, make that safety improvement. So we're working as hard and as best we can during these times. So the crews have been fantastic. I can't thank them enough for just kind of sticking with my program and working with Susan and getting as much work as we can done, and the supervisors are keeping guys busy and safe. So thanks to them for that.
Great job, Bob. Thank you for all that you do. And also, we have the sidewalk project, right, Susan?
Very
That's
exciting.
happening. Yeah.
Thank you again, Bob.
Yeah,
and,
that started Monday. So
Public Works. Yeah. It's
we're looking forward to that. That's going to be
Yeah.
that's going to connect it all.
Sure.
Those two last pieces on both east and west side, and from
great.
Springfield down, and then we hope to be able to continue more of that with the benefit of a good bid this year.
I will say I've seen so many more people out walking on the new sidewalks in a much safer way. And to extend that onto Main Street, where so many people have walked for many years, it's going to be just
Sure.
really great. If Russ isn't able to join us, I have a brief report that he had sent to me, Dave.
Okay. Russ, are you online by any chance? I guess not. Okay.
Yeah, I know that he was on another assignment today. In fact, I think he was handing out some personal protective equipment to some of our health agencies in the region. So as of April 15th, the report from the Chatham Health District tells us that Portland had a total of 34 positive confirmed COVID-19 cases. And interesting, the median age of all the confirmed cases is 77 years old. However, the age range, which is important to note, is between 19 and 100 years of age. So COVID-19 does affect young people. It certainly has an infection rate among young people, as well as those in our senior community. And that's why everyone has to practice these very important health procedures, not the least of which is the new requirement, and that is wearing masks. It's something that our town employees are implementing, and it's something that I myself find is an important part of my own personal protection, as well as protecting others from me, just in the event that I may be infected. It's something that we have to remember we're not just doing for ourselves, but for those we come in contact with. On a sad note, as of the 15th of April, Chatham Health District reports that there's been eight Portland residents that have died from COVID-19. And last night, when we had a Board of Selectmen meeting, which was actually on the 15th of April, we had a moment of silence, and it's something that I always do when we're among a group, just a moment for us to say thank you for the lives that have been lived and sorry for the families that are enduring the sadness associated with this disease. Dave and Bob, all the things that you're doing in terms of communicating to our public and continuing the service that we rely upon from our town is encouraging, and there's always that added telephone call that reaches out to those of us who may not be out and about. Just remember, check on your neighbors, young and old, and give them a call and make sure that they're doing well. It's not necessary that you have to do anything other than reach out and have a nice conversation. And the other thing I want to point out is our Park and Rec Commission reminds us that it is important to get exercise. And we're taping up at our high school, which is a beautiful track that is open and airy and available for people to utilize during the daylight hours. And our airline trail is open, our riverfront park is open, and there's lots of opportunities for us as well around the reservoir and the state forest. So remember that we are in this together, and we will certainly come out on the other side a much stronger community, of which Portland's always proud.
Great. Thank you, Susan. All right. And again, practice that social distancing wherever you go, as far as that goes. So that concludes, I believe, our episode 4 here at Live at our update at the Portland Podcast Studio at the Town Tech Educational Podcast Studio at Portland High School. And again, this podcast is going to be aired on Tuesdays at the Channel 15 Public Access Channel Comcast at 9 a.m. in the morning and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So if you don't have internet, you can see it or hear it on the Comcast channel. So Bob, thank you very much. Susan, thank you for all you do on keeping us all in line. And
Thank you, David. Nice job.
Being the captain of the ship. And again, a big shout out to Lori Matthew from the Department of Public Health. So we'll see you again next week here on Thursday. And stay safe, stay home, and wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Don't touch your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Social distance, avoid the crowds. Fight against the corona. Practice good hygiene and keep your personal space stays clean. Respect the social distancing. Fight against the corona. Not an Asian, black or white. The corona is colorblind. Together we can win the fight. Fight against the corona. Stay ready today, and tomorrow will be okay. Together we can win the fight. Fight against the corona.